Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. So we've called the meeting to order. We'll say good morning to the Board of Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioner Scar.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Olson.
Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning. So I know we do not have Eric Swanson from Adventist Health Tillamook with us, so we can jump right in with the Coastal Caucus. Do we have Senator Weber this morning? Give her a moment to unmute. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well, thank you.
Good.
Summer's finally come, hasn't it?
Yes,
it was so nice
finally.
And warm yesterday until the wind came up.
Right, that wind.
I know it. It's going to be a good 4th of July week, and I've noticed already the influx of people into the area. I hope everything turns out all right for everyone. And I wanted to especially call attention to the 4th of July celebration. One of the highlights is going to be at 11 a.m. on the 4th of July at the Maxwell Park. Something I think is and really awesome is the reading of the Declaration of Independence. And I think I was not able to participate, but I think they have planned on about 20 community members being part of that and reading the Declaration of Independence. So I think that it's a good opportunity to get in touch with why exactly we celebrate the 4th of July. And so I think it would be a good thing to attend. I wasn't able to be here last week, and I was traveling to Napa, where I went on a tour with the CWWL, which is the CLASA. I'm sorry, I was just eating chocolate. You know, chocolate for breakfast is the best. But anyway, there was a tour of the CWWL, which is the same as our Tillamook Working Lands and Waters group. And we visited the Roan Farm, the Knapp Creek Hatchery, and they have a demonstration pond there that has the biggest sturgeon in it I've ever seen in my life. Then we went into the Hampton Tree Farm area and looked at some logging operations. It was kind of interesting to see. We rode in a school bus, and to see a school bus full of people up on a logging road, the log truck drivers got a big kick out of it. So anyway, it was a very informative tour on the challenges and the opportunities there are. We in Tillamook County are also facing, and Columbia County is facing also. So I know that there's going to be a tour in Tillamook County later on in the summer, on towards fall. And I know, because I've been on them before, you get to explore new areas, you get to see new concepts, especially in conservation, and you learn a lot so that you don't make really unsubstantiated comments that are not true, which is something that people really do when they're talking, especially about logging or fishing. Learn what you are talking about before you express a lot of your opinions. This week I've been working on constituent issues, parades, getting ready for them, events, and bill concepts. And last Saturday there was a veterans celebration on the plaza in Tillamook. and I think it was very well attended. And I want to especially appreciate the new Veterans Memorial that has been erected. Doug Henson, in his last valiant effort, made sure that the money would be there for that to happen, and it's a wonderful monument. It really is. So anyway, some of the things for build concepts and issues that I'm working on are the transportation issues. We had the joint group here, and I appreciated the fact that so many people turned out to be able to express their views, and also that people wrote their views down and submitted it for testimony, because there's going to be several other of these hearings throughout the state. And since we're one of the first, I don't want any of our issues to be forgotten in the mix. So how we're going to pay for ODOT's issues and efforts is going to be interesting. People are talking gas tax increases. People are talking about funding opportunities with electric cars, because they're using our roads and they aren't paying the road tax from the gas stations, which then of course decreases the amount of money we have available. And then when we have, high fuel efficient motor vehicles, we are also decreasing the amount of gas tax. And so to keep these roads in condition, we're going to have to do some really creative thinking. I've also been working on funding for tide gates and culvert replacement. There is funding available. It's been renewed until 25. However, at the present time, they are just making sure that the projects that they have in the works are going to be completed. We have a lot of water issues throughout the region and sewer issues, and being able to fund those into the future is going to be a challenge also. And so it's something that I've been working to make sure that I understand all of the issues within the region. The other thing I've been checking into is the same thing that Gomberg has been checking into, which is the $1 million threshold on the estate tax. And, as things have changed, the threshold on that estate tax has to change also. One thing that you all might want to educate yourself is the new Measure 17 that may come forward on the ballot in the fall, which is a tax on businesses or manufacturing that make over $25 million a year, with then a distribution of the possibility of $750 to each person in the state of Oregon that meets requirements. Because I say that, because, the cost of manufacturing and business in Oregon is already high. And as you know, the Biden administration announced just recently a $6.7 million award to a Medford company to build a factory in Florida, because business and construction in Oregon is so expensive. So we have got to look at how that is going to affect our state. And I think that continue to educate yourself on some of these issues coming forward. The minimum wage has been increased this week, which, they're saying $16 in Portland. Well, it's $15.95 in Portland. In our area, it's $14.70. And on the rest of the parts of the state, it's $13.70. So when the news reports what the minimum wage has risen to, please check your facts so that you know exactly what you're talking about. The governor's literacy education prep council has announced new literacy requirements for teacher training, and I've been a part of that. It's been a long, arduous haul to decide on what is needed, especially for teacher training. One of the things that has been insisted on is going back to teaching cursive writing. And I thought that was, I think that is a good thing to do, because cursive writing is very good, especially for small motor control in hands, and it leads to other pathways in the brain. So that's just one of the things that's been encouraged. The science of reading is being encouraged, and making sure that all of, in the past, education things have been passed and then everybody has to catch up. But what's really important with this is that there will be education for teachers in the classroom already, so that they can come up to the standards that the state wants, because of our declining efficiency that our kids are going forward with. And so that's, I think it's a good step in the right direction to ensure that our kids especially are learning to read and are competitive on a state-to-state basis. So with that, I'm going to say happy 4th of July. Enjoy yourself. Please be safe. I can't express that enough, because, with playing with fire, sometimes terrible things happen, and I don't want that to be something that we have here especially on the coast, for our medical people to have to deal with, and for people going home for their families to deal with. So be careful out there, okay? And the other thing is, pick up after yourself. Don't leave all your dendritis on the beach or in the hills. Please be watchful of the environment. And that's all I have to say today. I could probably go on and on and on, but that's it.
Thank you, Senator. It is delightful to hear your voice, and great, as always, to hear your report. Thanks for mentioning the Veterans Memorial, which I agree with you. It is outstanding. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Doug kept telling me, "Oh, Suzanne, you're going to love it. You're going to love it." and I do.
He was right. Yeah, he was right. Well, bless his heart. Thanks to Doug Henson for championing that project for a long time. And I think some thanks are due also to Nick, who from Veteran Services, who continued the project and moved it forward and brought it to completion. So to everyone who worked on that and invested in it, I thank you.
And I think Nick Torres really deserves kudos for all of his work with the veterans. I went to him with an issue from Columbia County of a veteran, and he, we haven't gotten anything done yet, but he was very willing to step up and give advice and help. He's very knowledgeable and very capable. So thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Senator. Do we have any questions for Senator Weber? If not, we can move on to Representative Javity.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good to be here. I just want to, before I get started on this, remind our good senator that chocolate for breakfast is not recommended by any dentist that I know of. So please be careful. I know. All right, but I can talk to her offline about that. But I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Okay, Senator. Okay, so this week's 4th of July, and looking forward to all that comes with that. We'll be doing the rounds throughout the district to try to participate in all the different 4th of July activities. planning to be at Clatskanie on the morning of the 4th for their parade, which is always a great event if you're looking for a parade to do and you're in that neck of the woods. And then we'll zip over to the Warrenton Astoria parade and participate in that. And despite what I just said, Senator Weber, I will be tossing out candy at the parade, so maybe a few toothbrushes, possibly, we'll see. But looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, going to be at the Clover's Day Parade down in Cloverdale, so looking forward to that. And along with Senator Weber, we'll be trying to be careful with all the traffic that comes with that and the heat that we're supposed to get this weekend, too. Issues that are on my desk right now, continue to have some discussions with stakeholders about the eelgrass harvest, the harvest of oysters and the damage it's causing to eelgrass. Looking forward to more of those discussions. You know, the crux of that issue is that the eelgrass is an important part of the salmon's habitat, and we're trying to make sure we continue to have a nice salmon run as well as a thriving salmon population. So continue to have those discussions to see what, if anything, the state might be able to do there. I continue to get emails from people who are so frustrated with unemployment claims and the delay that's it's going on at the state level with that. I encourage anybody who's been waiting longer than necessary to send me an email as well, so I can put a little pressure on the unemployment office to look at those claims. There was a nurse strike that affected not Adventist, but Providence hospitals. Unfortunately, the Seaside Hospital wasn't involved, but several of the Providence hospitals were. And of course, my main concern was the impact that was going to have on patient care, and continuing to follow that and make sure that the issues of the nurses are being taken seriously by the hospitals, and the hospitals are also being fairly represented as well. So it's important that we continue to have and expand access to care, not take away. There was a report this week that Oregon has grossly underestimated the need for more beds, especially for things like drug addiction and mental illness. And so that'll be something that will definitely put more pressure on Oregon to fix that problem. And so we'll be having some discussions about that in the upcoming weeks and legislative days. And I'm imagining in the upcoming session, we'll try to get more money out the door, as well as cut red tape so we can get those facilities up and running. Just 2 or 3 more things here. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but Oregon expanded Medicaid eligibility. We're the 3rd state to do this. New York and Minnesota have also, but by expand, I mean that the limit, income limit for somebody to qualify is higher. So typically about 138% of the federal poverty level, but now as high as 200%. And so that will make it so that many people who are kind of caught in that middle between not being qualifying for Medicaid, but then not quite enough disposable income to afford private insurance or have a job that offers them, will be able to qualify for Medicaid. So I'd look online for more information about how to do that. That should be in effect now. The federal government approved our request as a state to expand those limits. So if you were somebody who fell in that gap, I encourage you to check again and see if you now qualify. If I remember right, it works out to about, I think you could make about $3,000 a month now and still qualify if you're a single person, and if you're a family, even higher. So just double check those numbers, but it's worth a look into. Bay City, for those that live in that area, especially in the Kilchis Water District there, had some problems with some log jams lower on the Kilchis River, and we have a meeting coming up soon with the Department of State Lands to discuss what options we have on clearing that log jam to prevent flooding as often on that lower part of the river, which affects several structures, homes, and people. So I'll hopefully have some more updates about that soon, but I'm in conversations with many of the residents in that area and as well as the state. So hoping to have a resolution there. And then finally, it's been kind of quiet otherwise. The national issues. I mean, I was probably glued to my TV like most of you, watching the debate last week between Presidents Biden and Trump. And I mean, I'll keep the politics out of here. I've definitely had some concerns about both about the way that debate went, and continuing to follow to see what happens at that level. But at the same time, there were several Supreme Court decisions that will have an impact on our community as well as Oregon in general. One's homelessness. The Supreme Court reversing a rule or a law by the that prevented cities from enforcing homelessness laws and rules, and so that will give cities potentially some more tools to work with with the homelessness issues that each of these communities have. So it's too soon to say exactly what those solutions will look like, but I think the impact will be, in general, cities have and counties more freedom to figure out how to deal with that in the way that suits their community. And then there was another big decision I think will have some impact on our communities as well, like things like water cleanliness, DEQ, things like seafood processing, and that is that the agencies are not able to make as many rules as they used to based on vague laws passed by the legislature. I think this is important because regardless of who's in charge in the governor's mansion or the White House, it's the duty of solving these problems by passing laws falls back on the shoulders of legislators who now have to make sure they're passing laws that will deal with these problems instead of punting and letting the executive branch deal with it. And then we'll hopefully stop seeing some of this seesawing that goes back and forth between Democrats and Republicans, depending on who's in the executive branch. So looking forward to how that law plays out. That's one that's been in place for 40 years, almost 50 years now. So, and that's it for my updates. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Representative. We got an echo. I really appreciate your report, and also I just want to mention that Representative Javidi is running for re-election in this election, the upcoming election, as folks may know. And something interesting happened in this last week in that the candidate in the Democrats, the Democratic candidate, Logan Laity, has dropped out of the race. So Representative Javidi is in an interesting position of waiting to see who is running against him. And at the moment, he doesn't know. So in case other people are wondering, I just want to share what I've learned about that so far, which is that the process is that the Democratic Party will put forward candidates or a candidate. We don't know how many, or we also don't know what exactly that process will be yet. But then the PCPs, so when you're voting and you see precinct committee person, PCPs on your ballot, that's the person in a party who is representing the other Republicans or Democrats in their neighborhood. They're in zones. And so the PCPs, the Democratic PCPs, will get together at some point and vote on who is the person who will run against Representative Javidi, which must be unnerving for him at this point to not know. And my only experience with that process was when former Senator Johnson withdrew from her Senate seat in order to run for governor. And so at that point, the Dem PCPs had to put forward candidates for that seat, and then voted that person in. So that's what's happening with that. It's very interesting. It was unexpected to me, but I'm not, always in the know about these things because our offices are nonpartisan. So, but I thought the community might want an update.
Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate the effort that Logan put into running both this time and last time, and looking forward to see who will run in his place, if anybody. Of course, selfishly would love it if I didn't have to run against anybody, but I think sometimes it's better to have the democratic process play out and people get to pick from two alternatives. And so, yes, you're right. I am, anxiously waiting to see who, if anybody, will be running. I'd also just to comment on that. There was an article written, and I don't know if this is the right place to do it. That wondered if maybe I had missed too many votes in Salem, and unfortunately, there's some truth to it. But the reason that those votes were missed, as I went back and looked, was I got COVID the week before the deadline for bills to move from the House to the Senate, and during that week, unfortunately, with the deadline coming up, the way it works in Salem is they'll try to move as many bills as they can that final week out of the House over to the Senate. And it just so happened it just lined right up with the only time I got COVID since the beginning of the pandemic, and I did end up missing some of those. But otherwise, I want to just assure people that I was there daily when I wasn't sick and voting, and looking forward to going forward and doing that again if I win re-election, and to represent us and focus on those issues that are important to the North Coast, both our local economy, but also that mix of, we're in a pretty purple district where we've got environmental issues that are as important to people as economic issues, and trying to find that balance, which is what I think the sweet spot is of how I've tried to run things. And I appreciate the people who reach out and put ideology aside and try to find solutions. So thanks for bringing that up, and looking forward to the rest of the campaign and whatever I can do to be of service. And to people, I'll folks put as my priority above campaign politics.
Thank you, Representative. I appreciate that approach very much. In fact, when it's my turn, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the ideology of bridging the divide between the two parties, and how one group is working on addressing divisiveness and bringing people together. So I share that desire, and I also appreciate that you brought up the debate, which is probably on many people's minds, and the state of our nation and where we go moving forward. And I don't have any good answers for that, but I grew up in the Catholic Church, so when I'm grasping to understand something, I think of Mother Teresa sometimes. So I looked up Mother Teresa, and I came across this quote that she made that said, "Never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time, and always start with the person nearest you." And I thought, well, that's what we get to do here. That's what we get to do in local government. That's what we get to do in our own communities. And even if we feel entirely powerless about what's going on nationally, we can help one person at a time, the person near us. We can help the people in our own communities. So that's the best I could come up with in response to the debate.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else for Representative Javidi? If not, we can move on to Tillamook County Community Health Centers.
And good morning, Commissioner. This is Ed Colson with the Health Department here.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tillamook County. Well, this week is the 4th of July, and so the celebration this week is coming. Temperatures are rising, and we're well into barbecue season. Whether you're planning a large cookout or just making dinner for your family, it's important to follow good food safety practices, especially when cooking outdoors where foodborne bacteria can thrive. Keep raw meats away from ready-to-eat foods to avoid contamination, and fully cooked meats, especially chicken, to avoid food poisoning. Keep cold foods cold, hot foods hot. For more simple food safety guidelines for safely transporting your food to the picnic site and barbecuing, preparing and serving it safely once you've arrived, please visit fda.gov/food safety. Now, please be aware that Oregon is experiencing an increase in COVID-19 cases currently. Free test kits are available at the Health Department's front desk and at Tillamook County Public Libraries. So our Wellness Incentive Program, it started July 1st. Get a wellness exam at Tillamook County Community Health Centers between now and December 31st, 2024, and receive a free gift card. After your wellness visit, ages 3 to 6 will be mailed a $15 gift card, and 7 and older will get a $25 gift card. Wellness exams may include a physical exam, sports physical, immunizations, in-clinic testing, or dental, hearing, nutrition, and or vision screening, and are at no cost to you, as insurance will be billed if you're insured. Schedule an appointment to live well and be well today at 503-842-3938. And lastly, as a reminder, Tillamook County Community Health Centers and offices are closed in observance of the 4th of July holiday. We wish all to have a safe and fun Independence Day. And that's our report at the Health Department.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions for Ed? If not, we can move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy.
Yes, good morning, Gail Nelson here.
Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry I missed the call last week, but I do have some announcements today.
Terrific.
We will also be closed tomorrow, Thursday, July 5th, but you can see us in the Manzanita Parade. We'll have a presence there, so looking forward to the parade and participating in the parade in Manzanita on Thursday. And also, yes, we also have the COVID test kits available, and I was walking around yesterday and noticed them. They are available at our front desk and in the pharmacy, and people were taking them. So also recognizing the increase in COVID here in the community. And our walking group is today at 10 o'clock at Big Cedar Tree Trail in Rockaway. And finally, an announcement, official announcement, recently during the fundraiser at the North County Recreation District. It was announced the groundbreaking for the new building, Saturday, July 20th, 11 o'clock. So yes, it's really happening. Mark your calendars if you're able to join us. Another special announcement was, that the community meeting room in the new building is going to be named in honor of a local community member and longtime healthcare advocate, Leela Salmon. So congratulations, Leela. And a big thank you to all as we move forward with the plans. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing construction begin and achieving some additional project-related milestones. And we're all excited here for the future and continuing to serve the community along with your help in fulfilling our mission of delivering compassionate team-based healthcare and wellness education to improve the lives of all in our community. And that's my announcements. Those are my announcements for this morning. And congratulations, Tillamook. I did see the Veterans Memorial last weekend, and it's beautiful. It's very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. And I will share your congratulations to Leela Salmon for being named for the community meeting room in the new health center. I have known Leela for a few years and found she's just wonderful. She's a wonderful human being and so inspiring and supportive and smart and kind and good. She's just a standout person. And so I can't think of anyone better for that room to be named for. And thank you for mentioning it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any questions for Gail? If not, we can move on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Hanna Williams, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Frank Hanna Williams, Director of Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. I want to kudos to Gail's mentioning about the groundbreaking and for the new center location. I'll look forward to. I am a Nehalem resident, and I'm looking forward to getting there to acknowledge that important date. If you have questions regarding information about services and about appointments, you can reach us here at the agency by calling 503-842-8201 or 1-800-962-2851. I want to mention today that actually it's kind of an important thing. We've been talking about Turnstone Commons, the 30-unit affordable housing apartment building located in Tillamook, and for quite some time now. And I'm here to acknowledge that we've had our first few residents move in within the last week, and it's kind of exciting. We want to acknowledge that, and we also want to continue to accept applications. And information is on our website, tfcc.org/Turnstone Commons, and also you can contact the property with any questions by calling 503-354-2284. So, you'll find out a little bit more information. Units accommodate a few income ranges, with incomes being capped at 30%, 50%, and 80% of the area median income. And units have studios and one bedroom with kitchenettes. So if you have any information, there are some qualification and an application process that one has to go through, and you can get all that information. And that is available not only at the website, but by actually calling if you have some specific questions. So that is my report for today, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Frank, and congratulations for getting the first residents into Turnstone Commons. That is a very significant update and a huge accomplishment, and thank you for your work on that and your agency's work on that. It's such an important service, and just in terms of housing, the addition of housing for that community of people, it's very significant for our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else for Frank? If not, we can move on to the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Brown, are you with us?
I am. Good morning, Commissioner. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So I'll try to move through this. I've got quite a few things to talk about. First thing I'd want to discuss is the stats from the month of June, just to let everybody know what it is that we were doing. The total number of calls for service for the month of June was 1,553. Those are all calls that we responded to or were initiated by deputies. Of those calls, 11 of them were assaults, or at least responded to as assaults. 14 of them were burglary calls. 26 of them were CAMI calls. Now, CAMI basically means child abuse, and in different, varying levels, but 26 child abuse related calls is what we responded to. We responded to 32 disturbances. There were 40 motor vehicle accidents or recreational accidents. We also had 7 search and rescue incidents, which is a fairly high number for a single month. Our deputies conducted 179 traffic stops. Of those traffic stops, 67 citations were issued. And the last stat that I'd like to share is that 37 individuals were arrested in the month of June by our deputies. And those are the stats for the month of June, just a snapshot, very similar to what I usually try to do. Of course, there's a lot of other types of calls. Not every call turns into an actual criminal case. But like I said, I like to share at least some type of a snapshot with the citizens of Tillamook County. So that's our snapshot there. Some other things I want to talk about is I'm sure if everybody has heard about the officer-involved shooting that happened a little bit ago, we put out a very brief press release on our social media page. Oregon State Police additionally put out a press release. The sheriff's office will not be putting out any more information. We are not the investigating agency, so any further press releases will come from either Oregon State Police or the Tillamook County District Attorney's Office. All we did was give the brief information just to let our public know kind of the basics of the incident. So I encourage you to go to our press release on our social media page if you would like to look at it. I believe that Headlight Herald has shared Oregon State Police's press release on that as well. So that information is out there. Everybody is doing okay. I can tell you that right now. So also, tail end of last month, the sheriff's office was very proud to take part of the June Dairy Parade. For anybody that's been around Tillamook County for any amount of time knows how much we value the June Dairy Parade and how important it is for our community. It's the tradition of it and the fun, the weather, everything is great about it, and we were very, very happy to take part in it. We've been doubling the amount of candy that we get to try to pass out to everybody, but we always end up running out. So I don't know. It's very, very difficult to not pass out candy to every single smiling, waving kid. So we ran out again this year. So hopefully maybe next year we can get a little bit more, but good time, great time. Some additional parades we have is 4th of July. I will be in Rockaway for that parade. I'll be leading that one. I will also be attending the Clover's Day Parade on Saturday, the 6th. I'll be in that one as well. Later in the month, the Garibaldi Days Parade, I'll be leading that as well. And then I will be in the Dory Days Parade in Pacific City towards the tail end of this month as well. So it's definitely parade season, and being able to get out there and see everybody and kind of show off our deputies and our vehicles is always fun. So looking forward to that. I want to mention that we do have jobs opened up for both our criminal and our corrections division that recently got posted. We're just waiting on a few things, and the openings are there. So if you know anybody that is interested, please encourage them to apply. You can also reach out at the public phone number for our sheriff's office if you have any questions. And just kind of a reminder to everybody that, especially our local citizens, to just be patient and understanding that it's the 4th of July weekend. It's going to be a very long weekend. We're going to have a huge influx of people, and I think I heard somebody mention that we've already been seeing that influx. Sheriff's Office, City Police, Oregon State Police, we're going to be running around like crazy. I'm certain of it. It's just kind of the nature of it. Please be patient, enjoy time with your family, and understand that we will be trying to run and take every call as quickly as we can. But of course, we want to make sure that we're being efficient and doing our job. So be patient, enjoy the 4th of July weekend with your family, and understand there's going to be a huge influx. So last thing I want to say is, or just kind of want to briefly address is, and actually Representative Javadi touched on it, was the Supreme Court decision in the Grants Pass case regarding homelessness. And I want to just kind of briefly explain that just because the Supreme Court ruled that the 8th Amendment does not apply in this, does not specifically mean that we can go out and immediately start cracking down. So they essentially said that enforcing camping laws or anti-camping laws within a county or a state is not it's not cruel and unusual punishment, as the Ninth Circuit Court originally gave their opinion saying that. That does not necessarily mean that states, counties, or cities cannot have some level of laws or legislation regarding homelessness. So it is still a process that we're working through. It's not an immediate flip a switch. I just want to make sure everybody in the county knows that. I am very aware of everything that's going on with the homelessness, and we're working through it as best we can. But like I said, I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's not a switch that's being flipped. A couple other cases that came through that kind of affect the sheriff's office and indirectly is the Rahimi versus U.S. case. That is basically it's a clarification to the Bruin test, and the Bruin test has everything to do with the Second Amendment. So if you're interested in that, you can look that up. But it just, like I said, the Supreme Court very much clarified how the Bruin test should be applied in certain situations. So that's what that has, that subject matter. There's another one that was ruled on called Loper Bright Enterprises versus Raimondo. Essentially, that is the Supreme Court striking down what's known as the Chevron deference. And again, there's a lot more to that, but where it affects the sheriff's office specifically is that it'll loosen up certain regulations, or it'll require certain federal agencies to be a little bit more strict in their interpretation or understanding of federal laws. And it basically says that the federal court is the final say. And where this comes into effect for us is that there is actually a current rule proposal by federal OSHA that essentially would put search and rescue for sheriff's offices out of business. Quite a few sheriffs in Oregon have drafted a letter, or a letter was drafted, and sheriffs have signed on to it, sending it out because it would be very detrimental to our search and rescue programs. This particular ruling would give a little bit more hope that it could be either not necessarily stopped, but it could be looked at differently. So it's the timing on it is very beneficial to us. I'm not going to be able to go into a lot of detail about the exacts on that proposed rule, but it would be bad for us, and this particular ruling helps a little bit. So I believe that is all I have to discuss. I can take any questions.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. I appreciate your report. It's interesting to hear about the numbers and the activity in your department, and reassuring to hear that everyone in your department is okay following the officer-involved shooting. It really made me think about how difficult law enforcement is in so many ways. You know, there just aren't very many jobs where people's lives are in danger from strangers in that way, and it has to be so stressful. So kudos to you and your department, and to the to Tillamook City Police and to the state police for handling that. And I'm so glad everybody's okay.
Thank you. I am very glad everybody's okay as well.
Any questions for the sheriff? If not, we can move on to emergency management. Do we have Randy Thorpe with us this morning?
Yes, you do, Commissioner. I am here today.
Good morning.
Good morning. To start off with the upcoming 4th of July holiday, the National Weather Service has issued a major alert for increased heat risk this week. They're saying for our coastal areas, you're looking at moderate risk for heat-related illness. Timing is going to be, of course, Friday through Saturday. They're looking at just a moderate risk and a lower risk for along the beaches. So what they're saying is as you move inland just a mile or so, you're going to see a dramatic increase in heat along the coast here. So again, we're not going to be like the inland valleys, but we are still going to see some temperatures in the upper 70s, and they're saying there's about a 20% chance we could reach into the 90s Friday and Saturday. And of course, that's not right along the beaches. That's inland, like the cities of Tillamook. So again, be aware of that. It does look pretty bleak if you're going to travel over the hill into the valley. They're looking at a very high risk of heat-related illnesses there. And that, again, the timing is July 4th through the 7th, and it's a very high confidence for major heat risk. And they're predicting temperatures up into the 90s by Thursday. And then what's kind of scary is that they're predicting a 70 to 80% chance of temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Friday and Saturday. And of course, that is for our inland valleys, the Willamette Valley and the Portland areas. So again, just because we're going to be a little bit cooler, we'll probably see. I don't know how we can increase our visitor traffic anymore this weekend, but again, it's going to be a little bit of relief for those people living, for those who are living on the other side of the mountain to come here to the coast to cool off a little bit. Just as a reminder, bay clamming has been reopened on the North Coast, so that's a good thing. An additional razor clam harvesting has reopened on the South Coast. So bay clamming is now open from Washington border down to Cascade Head. Razor clam is open from Camp Blanco to the California border, and also remains open from the Washington border down to the Ohio River. So anyway, that's the good news. And of course, mussel harvesting still remains closed along the entire coast. And my favorite, the crabs out there, they're still open for harvesting. So that never did close down. So that's the good news. So on the wildfire front news, July 1st was the official start of the fire season in Oregon. Of course, we had fires before the fire season, so we don't have to wait for fire season to have fires, but that's the official designation that ODF comes up with for the start of their official fire season. The more important thing is that the burn ban will go into effect on July 15th here in Tillamook County, and we should be seeing that information released out through the Fire Defense Board and ODF. So they made that decision at the last Fire Defense Board meeting that the burn ban will go in effect July 15th through the remainder of the summer. And that means that those piles of debris that you wanted to get burned before the summer, it looks like you've got about another 2 weeks before that ban will go in effect, and you will not be able to do that. So anyway, be careful out there, drive safe, enjoy our nice summer weather here, and of course, stay hydrated and be extremely cautious if you're out and about in the heat this weekend. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, Randy. Do we have any questions for Randy Tharp? If not, we can move on to Oregon Department of Transportation. Do we have Bill Jablonski with us this morning? Give him a moment to unmute. Well, why don't we move on to the Board of Commissioners reports, and if Bill Jablonski is with us, we will fit you in. Just let us know. Commissioner Olson, would you like to start?
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, I will. And of course, I'll just take note that everybody has a 4th of July all around the world, but we're the only ones who get to celebrate it, and for very good reasons. If you stop and think, there aren't a lot of countries across the world where you can walk into a city council if they have one, or a board of commissioners meeting, or a school board or something like that, and tell them what you think. Well, you certainly can do that in America. You can tell us we're doing a wonderful job, or you can tell us the exact opposite and what we should do about it. In fact, we did have one individual last week who was extremely clear in his language on what we should all do. And I won't go into that in any detail, but think about that. Not many places across the world can you do that with your local or federal or state government. So that's why we celebrate the 4th of July, as we built something here in this country that is rather unique across the world. So having said that, I'll update people with a couple of other items. Last Friday, there was an event in Manzanita. Friday afternoon, there was a professor whose name I have forgotten, but he presented about an hour and a half lecture on tsunamis and the scientific side of it. He is a professor from New Zealand, and you could certainly tell by his language being a little bit less than the American version. And I believe Commissioner Bell, you were there along with Randy Thorpe, and probably close to 70 or 80 more people at Manzanita. They're very engaged, and it was very informative talk about what some of the risks are and what we've learned in the past 15 or 20 or 30 years that we didn't know with respect to tsunamis and where we're headed sometime in the future. I'll just mention when we talk about Manzanita, you have to say the name Linda Kozlowski, who is a city councilor. I think she's president of their council and have been around a few years. And she is an absolute spark plug when things like this happen in a community. She's one of those people, if you say something to her, would you be interested in helping? And if she says yes, then you can go on and do other things because she will do everything else. She will raise money. She will gather people. She will arrange meetings. She'll get in touch with all the local authorities that need to be talked to and put it all together. And when it's all done, it will be a professional piece of work. And so every community needs a Linda Kozlowski, and Manzanita has one. So just congratulate her again. And by the way, the emergency response group in Manzanita, as Randy would say as well, they are quite literally the model for the state of Oregon. They have done so many things and done them so well. And they simply have put together a response team with all the parts and pieces that's become a model for Oregon, and I think maybe even much of Western America. So good for them. A couple of other things. We, the commissioners, did adopt a balanced budget last week for the next fiscal year, which began yesterday, July 1. To get there, we had to remove some money from reserves and beginning cash balances and some things that we would have preferred not to do. However, you have to have a balanced budget. So we're starting something that we haven't done in recent years, which is have a what we're calling a budget roundtable. And we'll start meeting next Wednesday, I believe it'll be the 10th. And we'll meet monthly through the end of the year and talk about a whole series of options that we could do since the landscape has changed a bit. For example, now there's been some changes in harvest levels. There's certainly impacts from inflation and a variety of other sources of funding that are now less than they could be. And then there are also the other side of the equation, which is expenses. County government is no different than your personal budget. We're facing increased costs for a whole variety of services and equipment and supplies. And it's currently not looking very positive as you look into the future. So we're going to sit down and have our budget committee come back together and talk about, excuse me, what some of the options would be, and some of them are rather distasteful as we look at possibly even shortening the hours in the courthouse and a variety of other things. So much more to come on that one. We did also last week have a gathering, our second gathering of our smaller utilities, and talk about some of the issues like what do we do to maintain a full board? How do we generate enough cash flow to afford the equipment and insurance and operating supplies? And how do you do that with a very small rate base? Many of our utilities, both water and wastewater, have fewer than 100 customers or 200 customers, and it's hard to generate enough cash flow to really do what you need to do in what is really a capital-intensive business. So we talked about that, and may have another meeting after Labor Day, but the idea was to put some of the resources available into the minds of our board members and operators. And so we had some representation from COLPAC, which is a regional economic development agency. We also had people from the SDAO, Special Districts Association of Oregon, and also the Oregon Water Association of Water Utilities, I should say. And other experts who can talk about these resources that are out there, including Business Oregon. We had some people there as well. So More to come on that, and we'll keep the county as a resource for these small utilities if they need some help. Another item of interest, the board will consider tomorrow, the Board of Commissioners, moving forward on the acquisition of a building here in Tillamook County. It's known kind of as the Bureau of Land Management building, directly across from the courthouse. The county has entered into a definitive purchase sale agreement. A lot of details yet to go. It has to withstand some inspections and due diligence and all of that, but we have an agreement in principle to acquire that building. And the idea being that that would eventually, several years out, would house the courts and the district attorney's operation and perhaps some other related supportive functions for the court system. And the reason for that is in Oregon, the courts pay their own way in terms of paying the judges and the expenses, but counties are required under Oregon statute to provide the facilities. And of all the courthouses in Oregon and other court facilities, and I think there are about 48, Tillamook County ranks fourth from the bottom in terms of being adequate and having proper safety features and all those kinds of things. And so the county's been struggling with that for quite a number of years and finally found what we think is a good solution. And lots more to come on that one. But it's something that would relieve some of the security pressures and space pressures here in the courthouse. So that's on the agenda tomorrow to take that to another level, but it's looking very promising. And finally, the last thing I'll mention is we're moving forward on a bond measure to put before the voters at the November election. And that will ask the voters to approve a bond probably in the range of $20 to $25 million. And it would fund a new public safety radio system, which we need very, there's very strong need for that. And the reason is the system we have is over 20 years old. It was put in place before the iPhone type smartphones were even invented. It's all analog and not digital. And it serves as a lifeline all across all the public agencies that are operating in Tillamook County, including the sheriff's office, the police departments in the cities, our fire departments, medical services, the ambulance service, public works, Tillamook PUD, possibly our transportation system. They all use these radios to talk to one another, dispatch and call for help and backup and all those things. The system we have now is nearing basic obsolescence. It's very difficult to get parts for them. And matter of fact, there are some stories where parts were needed and they had to be purchased off eBay. And I can tell you with some certainty that is not how you run a public safety radio system at all. The public needs to have a response that is adequate, safe, and workable. Everybody can use it and talk to each other and support each other. And when you call for an ambulance, you want the ambulance to be there and you want it to be there right now. So we're working on that and lots more to come on that. You'll hear much more as we go over the next weeks and months. So with that, Commissioner, thank you for the time and I will hand it back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have any questions for Commissioner Olson? If not, let me check in with Bill Jablonski and see if he was able to join us before I call on Commissioner Scar. Well, perhaps not. Commissioner Scar, to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Well,
it is good to be back. I've been missing for the last 3 weeks. I had some meetings that conflicted with this call, and then I took a little time off last week. So happy to be back. One of the meetings that I was at 2 weeks ago was the Association of Oregon Counties Legislative Retreat. We spent 2 days in Salem with the 36 counties, really looking into what our priorities were for the coming legislative session to see if there were bills that we wanted to introduce, as well as bills that we expected or bill concepts that we know were out there that could impact us either positively or negatively that we wanted to engage on. So I continue to be co-chair of the Transportation and Community Development Committee, and we had a lot of conversation about our priority, and our priority there is to ensure that as ODOT is looking for new funding sources, new ways to replace the gas tax, as the senator talked about this morning, that counties are not forgotten, because I don't know how many of you realize, but counties are funded through state gas tax and vehicle registration fees largely. We augment our own local road funding with our transient lodging tax per vote that was taken by the voters when the transient lodging tax came in. But the larger part of our budget still comes through those state funding sources. And so as ODOT begins to explore other ways to raise revenue, we need to make sure they don't forget about us and that they continue to provide a split of the funding to the county. So that is a high priority for us, and we'll be engaging early, often, repeatedly with that process to make sure the counties are not forgotten. So that was an important meeting that I was at for AOC. Couple other things. I just want to do a couple of quick shout outs, and then I'm going to talk about the habitat conservation and the revenue replacement process that we've been working on. But I'm going to do a couple of quick shout outs first. I wanted to harken back to the conversation we heard earlier from the representative and the senator and Chair Bell about local politics and how we work really well here in a nonpartisan way. We know that the politics at the state level and the federal level, they're very, very partisan. And there's a lot of things that get thrown around, a lot of ways that people try to differentiate themselves, but it really often has nothing to do with the real work we're doing here. So I wanted to give a shout out to Representative Javity. He and I have been working closely on the eelgrass issue together, and I just appreciate, the ability to call up my representative or my senator, frankly, and let them know there's a local issue and to work together on it, that we don't let party politics get in the way. We just work for our constituency. So thank you to Representative Javity for partnering with me on the eelgrass issue. It's important. There is an ESA listing for the coho salmon species here on the coast. And one of the challenges to removing them from that listing is making sure that our entire system for their habitat is healthy. And one of the areas that has been identified as needing work is Tillamook Bay. And part of it is this eelgrass issue. Those small salmon, as they migrate out from our river systems, need a place to hide in the bay on their way to the ocean, and the eelgrass is a key piece of that. So excited to have that work moving forward, and really hoping we can find a state solution to that problem. I also want to give a shout out to Police Chief Nick Troxel for the city of Tillamook. Last night's city council meeting, and I'm sure that City Manager George will talk about this, but Nick was hired to be the full-time police chief. So Nick, I've worked with Nick for years and years when I was at CARE, when he was an officer, and I'm very excited for him and want to give out a big congratulations. I think that he will be an amazing police chief for the city of Tillamook and a great partner for all of us working to keep our community safe. So congratulations to Nick. Okay. So let's talk just a little bit about the Habitat Conservation Plan and the timber revenue. We've talked about it a lot, and Commissioner Yamamoto started this conversation before he left about the small table group. So there were 5 commissioners who were selected by the governor's office or by the Council of Forest Trust Land Counties to sit with 3 staff from the governor's office and to talk about the impacts of the Habitat Conservation Plan, quantify what that would look like for counties, and then to come forward with some possible ways to replace that revenue for counties. So that work has been going on for about the last 10 months, and it's been done very quietly because we really wanted to know what our potential paths forward were that were both acceptable to the counties and, per the governor's staff, politically viable in the legislature. So that work has been completed. There are 3 options that have been brought out of that group. Will Chappell from the Headlight Herald attended a meeting, as did I, on Friday, where we talked about those. So there's a great article in the Headlight Herald today, and I'm going to point you in that direction because there's a lot of numbers, and I know that numbers are difficult to sort of take in on the radio call. So I'm going to give you the 3 concepts, and then I will invite you to look up those numbers through the Headlight Herald article, or you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk about it. We will also be talking about this more in our upcoming commissioner meetings. But the conversation really looked at how do we replace the revenue that counties will lose? And the first option was to just really, we're shuffling the deck chairs, if you will, with the revenue that will still be received. Option one was to keep counties whole using the revenue that will be received and give the Department of Forestry less revenue and have them go to the legislature to get the remainder of their budget funded. So that's option one. Option two is the reverse of that, and that is to provide the revenues that are available to the Department of Forestry so they can continue to do their job and have the counties go to the legislature for funding. Neither of those are the preferred option that came out of this group, but they are both politically viable per the governor's office, and they are ones that we are continuing to discuss. The third option that came out of the group was to remove timber revenue as a local funding source for our schools. We are unique across the state of Oregon in that the schools in the 15 trust land counties do not get the same amount of school equalization funding as schools in other areas. Instead, we locally provide timber revenue, which helps offset what the state would have to pay. So this option would remove the timber revenue from the schools, place it back with the county and special districts, and have the state backfill that gap with their school stabilization or school funding that other schools across the state get. There is a concern because there are 4 schools who receive more money than just the equalization money, and that is 2 of those are in Tillamook, and that's Neocani and Nestucca. So we are in this conversation making it very, very clear that we're only in support of this if we are able to keep our schools fully funded at the levels they are today. So the state would need to provide enough equalization funding to keep them fully funded. So again, all of that is in the Headlight Herald article. I'm happy to talk more about it with anyone. The process going forward is that the Council of Forest Trust Land Counties we are now going back to our fellow commissioners across our 15 counties to have this conversation to get any more information that we need. For example, I've been in conversation with our school superintendents to make sure they understand and make sure I understand their concerns. And so we are gathering more information over the next month approximately, and then we will go back as the Council of Forest Trust Land Counties and we will take a vote as to which option we would like to move forward. Then it will be working with the governor's office and the legislature over this next session to try to adjust whatever we need to in statute, because currently timber revenue is distributed per statute at the state level. So we would need to work with the legislature to change the statute no matter which of these solutions we move forward with. So the hope is that by bringing the revenue back into the county and special districts, we will have enough to continue to fund county government, special districts, and having the schools receive the money they need from the state, therefore creating a net gain of revenue at the county. So fingers crossed that one of these 3 options comes to fruition and that we are able to really still continue the process that Doug has talked about, still be very thoughtful about our revenue, because this probably won't kick in for 2 to 3 years as they work through the change of the statutes and the full implementation of the Habitat Conservation Plan. But seeing this on the horizon as an option to keep our county funded, to have timber continue to be the vital industry it has been and a part of our county government. So with that, I'm going to stop. Again, I know it's a bit confusing, but I'm happy to talk more individually or take a look at the Headlight Herald.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have any questions for Commissioner Scar? If not, I'll give one more shout out to Bill Jablonski. Are you with us? Well, I have just a few things that I want to cover. Other people have talked about a few of them. I went to Commissioner Olson's meeting with the special districts and in particular water districts, and that was just terrific. So I'd like to just give my thanks to Commissioner Olson for organizing that group. That was the second meeting of that group, and there were so many ideas and resources and solutions shared. And I know that he is at work compiling those so that he can send them out to all of the attendees. And, all these little tiny special districts, especially the water districts, are out there kind of operating in silos on their own, trying to figure out how to get done what they need to get done with inadequate funding, inadequate staffing, aging infrastructure, et cetera. So it was good to get everybody in the same room and talk about their problems and talk about solutions and resources, and it was encouraging. So I hope that work continues, and I thank Commissioner Olson for leading it. And also, he mentioned the meeting last week on Friday in Manzanita. It was at the Hoffman Community, or rather, the Pine Grove Community Center. And it was hosted by Emergency Volunteer Corps of Nehalem Bay. And the guest speaker was Dr. Jonathan Allen from Dogami, from the Department of Geology and Mineral Industry, but also that organization is responsible for the tsunami mapping, the evacuation mapping, for the work that we're doing on the coast related to the Cascadia subduction zone and the potential for an earthquake off the coast of Oregon and subsequent tsunami. So it had been a number of years since Dr. Allen was here to give a public presentation, since right before COVID, since the spring of COVID. So it was great to be in a room with folks again. I think we're all sort of celebrating being together in person again still. And so it was delightful to be in a room full of people and be listening to this presentation in person. There was new information in it. There's new science. It's really very fascinating. And so it was terrific. So shout out to EVCNB for that presentation, and to everybody who was there and got involved. And Doug's absolutely right that EVCNB is really the model in the state and perhaps the nation for emergency preparedness. And we are very fortunate indeed to have them operating and have that model to be able to move it to other coastal communities and show them how it was done in North County. And so that was wonderful. I was glad to be there. Excuse me. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I had a meeting yesterday with someone from a nonprofit organization called Braver Angels. And Braver Angels is an organization that seeks to address divisiveness between political parties, but not exclusively, just to address divisiveness in our communities in this country. And so I had a meeting with an organizer for Braver Angels who wants to have community conversations around the state. They're hoping to do it in every county. And they want the first conversation of this kind to be about the urban-rural divide. So it isn't really, Republicans and Dems. This would be the divisive issue of urban versus rural. And so we had a very interesting conversation about it, about the ways that rural counties like ours feel alienated from decisions that are made in the urban counties, and in particular in Salem. And so it was a terrific conversation. He was asking for who could they reach out to who might be interested in this work. So the work is, as I understand it, because I'm not deeply involved yet, maybe I will be, the work is to get people in the same room who have differing opinions and have thoughtful, respectful conversations and practice civility and listening. So that's very attractive to me. So I am interested. And he asked who in our community might be interested in talking about that conversation, the rural-urban divide, from the rural perspective, rural Tillamook County. So I was just brainstorming with him in this meeting, and I thought about the Farm Bureau. I thought about the ecumenical ministries. I'm not sure that's the right title, but there's a group of churches that get together and do ecumenical work. Local businesses, like we've talked about on this call, we've talked about Jetty Fishery and Kelly's Marina and local coastal businesses that are going to be negatively impacted by a decision by the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife to move to exclusively online licensing, shellfish licensing, for example, and how that will negatively impact our businesses. So that's a classic example of a decision being made in Salem with little regard for how it will actually impact businesses in rural locations. And I thought about the timber industry, of course, and somebody talked about that earlier on this call, probably Senator Weber, yes, about working lands and waters and the timber industry and how the timber industry is impacted by folks who really don't understand how it works or very much about it at all, other than to drive to the coast and see clear cuts and be horrified by what they see. So the Working Lands and Waters group, I thought of certainly because their mission is to educate people about natural resources industries. And so I'm mentioning this on this call because if folks from those organizations are listening, what I agreed to do yesterday is provide an online introduction to Steve Radcliffe from Braver Angels and representatives from those groups just to see if you all want to have conversations with Braver Angels and if anybody in your organizations would like to be part of a talk where you're representing rural Tillamook County. And so I will be sending out those online introductions. And also, for anybody who's listening, I would like to invite you to reach out to me by email or text and let me know if you would like to be part of those conversations. I'll include you in the introduction that I make to Braver Angels. So I think this work is very timely and important, like for us to be able to connect on the things that we have in common and listen to people who have different ideas and understand them. Listen to understand, not to convince anybody of anything, but just listening to understand. So I think I will conclude with that and move on to the cities. Do we have Mayor Stock from Manzanita?
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes. Is it Linda?
Oh,
yes.
Linda.
Good
Yes.
morning.
Sorry. Commissioner or Mayor Stock is engaged in a huge family reunion, so she asked me to represent Manzanita today, and I'm
Wonderful.
just delighted to be on this call. I really appreciate the comments around the presentation by Dr. Allen. I thought it was really exceptional, and almost more important than that, we really appreciate the support of the commissioners and Randy Thorpe. It just makes a huge difference in any local organization that's trying to work to build a community. To have the support of the commissioners just speaks reams to the community, and you were there. I also really appreciated Commissioner Bell bringing our new Parks Director, Dan Keys, to introduce him to the community, which was great, and to some of the information that he will need to kind of take in as he begins to prepare the community parks for all hazards community. It was just delightful. We actually had over 100 people there and turned people away at the door. So there's real interest in this topic. I'd like to give a quick shout out. I really appreciate the comments about the Emergency Volunteer Corps. When we started, we were the first to kind of start getting organization around community resilience and preparedness. But since that time, Tillamook County has really stepped up. And I'd like to give a shout out to Tillamook County Citizens Corps Committee. That's a group of people throughout the county that are interested in and doing good work in terms of community preparedness. Randy is also part of that, and it allows us to share best practices. And again, it really organizes the whole county, which is really important. The last year we did the Great Shakeout, and I think we had, if I remember correctly, over 400 people on our yellow radio emergency communication. So it's growing. Emergency preparedness and resilience is really growing in the area. So we really appreciate that. I also really appreciate Commissioner Bell's discussion about Braver Angels. In the city of Manzanita, we are beginning to practice how to have conversations civilly around high tension or contentious issues that we have in the city. We are starting to reach out to the community, and we've so far had really good response to how we can begin to talk about really difficult issues and work together. So Braver Angels is just another very important process to move forward. So we are certainly strongly supporting. Because the council meeting falls on the 3rd tomorrow, we've decided to put that off for a week. So we're going to have our city council meeting on July the 10th. We'll have our workshop that same day at 2 p.m. And then our city council meeting will be at 6 p.m. on July the 10th. It will not occur tomorrow evening. In April of 2022, we put a 3-year freeze on the number of short-term rentals in the city of Manzanita. We've done a number of surveys. We put a really good committee together to study the issue and come back to us with some policy options. After 2 years of a pretty intense study and also working with the county, they will be presenting those options in our workshop on the 10th. And I really encourage anyone who has interest in short-term rentals in the city to participate with that. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be taking Commissioner Olson and Senator Weber and the mayors of the city of Manzanita and Wheeler on a tour of our water system. We have a unique setup here that actually works as a district, and we're very encouraged and want to share kind of what we're doing with the water system, particularly as we look at others in the county and the difficulties that they face. We're moving forward on our city hall, so our city hall is progressing really well. We are very excited. We did some pretty extensive value engineering, and we're able to come up with enough funds to provide solar, which is something we weren't sure we were going to be able to do, but we are doing, which is really, really exciting. And we're preparing for the 4th of July parade and celebrating it. We have our Grand Marshal and Citizen of the Year, Dave Matthews, who's done a lot for the community of Manzanita. But we are also honoring Victor Carey. Victor is our UPS driver, and he's been the UPS driver in the city of Manzanita for at least 20 years, and he's retiring. And everybody loves Victor, and everybody's dogs love Victor. So we're looking forward to celebrating both our Citizen of the Year and Victor. The last thing I'll say, and just to confirm what was said before, we are just so proud of Leila Salmon. She has just been, she's been on the city council. She's been on almost every board in the city of Manzanita in the region. She's been on the budget committee for the county. She's been a huge contributor to Tillamook County and particularly city of Manzanita. And the fact that the health district is naming a community room after Leila, it just could not be more deserved. So we are very proud of Leila Salmon. And with that, that's my report. Thank you.
Linda, thank you so much. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for your report, and thanks for everything you do for the community.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have anyone on from the city of Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach? Do we have Mayor McNeely this morning?
Good morning, Tillamook County. This is Mayor McNeely. Can you hear me now?
Good morning. Yes, we can.
Perfect. So our city staff focus has been on preparing for the upcoming 4th of July festivities. Our 4th of July parade begins at 11 a.m. A shout out and thank you to Sheriff Josh Brown for riding in our parade this year. I think that's a tradition that's been going on for a while, and we're happy to have him in the parade again. Our fan favorite Wiener Dog races at Phyllis Baker Park begins at 1 p.m. Associated with those races, there's merchandise sales at 10 a.m., food sales at 11 a.m., and of course the race registration at 12 noon. This event just continues to grow in popularity. Rockaway Beach Lions Club's kids events begin at 1:45 on the beach at the South 4th Street Beach entrance near St. Mary's Catholic Church. I understand there's an opportunity for kids to find cash during the Money Pit on the beach event, and then that will be followed by races on the beach. And then we'll end the day with our iconic capstone professional fireworks show at the Wayside, which will begin around 10 p.m. with lights out at 9:30 p.m. Secure your parking space early. In the same vein of fireworks, our Public Works placed digital signs on Highway 101 at the north and south city limits to let visitors know that fireworks are prohibited in Rockaway Beach. And thank you to Cannon Beach. We got the idea from them. They put digital signs out over the 4th. My monthly city update with a look back at June 2024 was published in the Tillamook County Pioneer yesterday and is available on the city's Facebook and websites. I wanted to put something in the hands of visitors that let them know where to eat, where to shop, where to sleep, things to do when they're in Rockaway Beach. In meeting this need, I'm distributing QR code stickers to merchants, restaurants, SDRs, motels, real estate offices, and asking those businesses to display the QR code sticker on their window or at their point of sale. Scanning the code with one smartphone invokes Rockaway Beach's official visitor website, visit rockawaybeach.org, giving the visitor a guide to Rockaway Beach on their phone. Special thank you to Nan Devlin and the Tillamook Coast Visitors Association for getting the QR code stickers designed and printed. And then finally, a shout out to our election officer, Melissa Thompson. She created a detailed election information page with a link to a list of individuals who are seeking to get on the ballot for councilor or mayor and their status in the process. So everybody can see what's going on and who's interested in running and what positions are being run for in Rockaway Beach. And with that, a happy 4th to all, and back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for your report. Let's move on to the, thank you. Let's move on to the City of Garibaldi.
Good morning, Commissioner Bell. This is Leanne Welch. How are you?
Good morning. Well, thank you. How are you?
Well, so I'm the interim city manager for the City of Garibaldi, and I have an exciting announcement to make. We have made an offer to Jake Boone for the new city manager, and he has accepted. Jake Boone will start July 15th here at the City of Garibaldi. He has been the assistant city manager for the City of Cottage Grove for 4 years. He was on their city council for 10, and he was the president of the League of Oregon Cities for a number of years. So I think that Jake's going to be a great addition to Garibaldi, and Garibaldi is a great city and deserves a good city manager. I would also, it is parade time. So the Garibaldi Days event is July 26th through the 28th, with our parade starting on Saturday the 27th at 11. If you want to be in our parade, there is a form on the city website, and you can fill it out and you can join the parade. And we're also looking for sponsors. So if you would like to be a sponsor of the Garibaldi Days and get on our advertising, please reach out to City Hall, and we'd love to have you as a sponsor and get you in our advertising. And we've picked Martin McCormick as our Grand Marshal for the Garibaldi Days Parade. Martin McCormick was a Public Works employee here for over 30 years. He's been a volunteer firefighter for decades. Martin is a wonderful person and a great contributor to our community. So shout out for that. And then the Oregon Department of Transportation Construction construction kickoff meeting for the work here in Garibaldi will be July 24th. So at least they're starting on that work. And then Garibaldi Emergency Preparedness is getting kicked off here in the city of Garibaldi. Connie Corey is leading that with Shannon. So if you're interested in getting involved in the Garibaldi Emergency Preparedness, please contact City Hall and we'll get you in contact with Connie. Do you have any questions for the city of Garibaldi today?
Thank you, Leanne. Do we have any questions for the city of Garibaldi? Well, congratulations on hiring. Okay, terrific.
Oh, yes, we're excited. I am excited to move on and transition it back to just being the mayor of Bay City. So putting my mayor hat on. So Bay City has a city council workshop on Monday, July 8th at 5:30, followed by a city council meeting on Tuesday, July 9th at 6 o'clock. We've been awarded a $2.5 million seismic upgrade to our Bay City Fire Station. As you know, our fire station is a brick unreinforced masonry building. So this will be just add resiliency to our fire department. And the Bay City Emergency Volunteers meet on the third Monday of every month at 5:30 at City Hall. We've made leaps and strides in emergency preparedness, and then listening to Linda Kozlowski earlier today, all the work that they've done up north. And Bay City short-term rental ordinance requires short-term rentals to have a go bag for 2 people for 72 hours and a tsunami map that's available for their renters. So again, I think that the whole community is becoming more resilient, but there's still a lot of work to do. So please, everybody out there, get involved in your local emergency preparedness committees. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, with that, we'll move on to the city of Tillamook and Nathan George. And Nathan, I want to say congratulations to Tillamook Police Chief Nick Troxel, who I think was just appointed yesterday.
Good morning, Commissioner. Yes, that's correct. I appreciate the county making the announcement for me. No, that was really wonderful. I really appreciate it. Yes, I wanted to actually thank Commissioner Bell and all of our public officials and partners with the city of Tillamook that took their time last Thursday night to come out and spend an hour with our top candidates for the police chief position. As with you, Commissioner Bell, and everyone else, I took time to ask great questions, have good discussions, and provide really excellent feedback on all the candidates. So it was truly, it was a tough decision. We had some really good candidates, but Chief Troxel, now Chief Troxel, who was appointed yesterday, was the best candidate. So I'm really, really happy when I was able to appoint him full-time, hire him full-time as a chief, and we were able to announce it last night at the council meeting. So thank you and Commissioner Scarr both for the discussion. I really appreciate it. Also wanted to provide a quick update on the council meeting last night, and the only other item we had on the agenda, we did actually introduce our new Public Works Streets Division Supervisor, Tyler Hopkiss, so that was really great. And we also had a wonderful overview and update / presentation on risk management and law enforcement from our CIS representatives. They did a fantastic job, highlight all the great things our police department is doing. Also, they came and spent most of the day going through and doing an audit. And pleased to announce that the city is doing fantastic. I mean, sure, we have small things to keep making better, but we're doing a really great job. We are actually 99% done with our accreditation, so we're excited about that. And that also, not only does CIS come every 3 years and try to do every 3 years and do a real overview and to take a look at what we're doing, but also our accreditation process will also come in every 3 years now and do a full review of everything, policies and procedures, and making sure we're meeting all those criterion. Also, we are looking at having the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police come in and do another agency review that they did about 3.5 years ago when I first came. So really excited about all those changes and just trying to make sure our city is performing in the top ways we're doing and moving forward and helping our public. So, excuse me. So, in the police department, Chief Troxel had checked in with the hospital to talk about crisis intervention training. We're on the right track in making progress towards the implementation of our first 40-hour crisis intervention or CIT training. On Wednesday evening, near our local Fred Meyer hypermarket, a traffic stop was initiated. As Sheriff Brown talked a little bit about, officers were shot and returned fire. A pursuit ensued and the suspect was taken into custody. We are thankful no officers were hurt in this critical incident. We also want to thank our law enforcement partners in our area, including Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, OSP, which stands for Oregon State Police, the Tillamook County District Attorney's Office, and all others involved in helping to mitigate this serious situation. The city really appreciates the professionalism of all people and entities involved. As summer is in the upswing, we have seen an increase in calls for service and visitors to Tillamook. Please use patience and be kind to one another. In the Public Works Department, this week, the Streets and Parks Division staff will continue to water and maintain the hanging flower baskets along Main Street and Pacific Avenue, in addition to performing routine maintenance tasks like street sweeping, pothole filling, and bioswale maintenance. Just as a quick little trivia, I'm sure most people know, but it was Senator Weber and our former counselor Doug Henson who really made the flower baskets a reality. It's one of their big projects, and they look very beautiful. So far in 2024, our Parks and Streets Division have repaired over 500 potholes and counting, and that's only in 6 months. Our Water Distribution Division will be performing a water leak repair of one of our main transition lines this week. This repair is necessary to ensure the continued reliability and safety of our water supply system. So some people may ask, Nathan, why do you give all these little updates? Well, I do it so that everyone's aware of what's going on and you have a better understanding of our community and the services that we do for our community. We are currently in the process of listing surplus inventory for auction. Items available include wastewater and water treatment equipment, vehicles, office supplies, building supplies, heavy equipment, and more. These items are on public bidding, can be found on www.govdeals.com/Tillamook. So we used to use public surplus. We have now switched over to a little bit different company. It's called govdeals.com. For questions, you can contact Megan Chensley by calling our main number and get the Public Works extension, which is 5945, but just call our main number, follow the Public Works, or you can always email publicworks@tillamookor.gov, so just Public Works is one word. A reminder for urgent matters outside of business hours, such as safety hazards, including fallen trees, blocking roads or pathways, sinkholes, posing risk to pedestrians or vehicles, public utility emergencies like water bursts or sewer lines, or any other immediate safety concerns, please call our on-call Public Works by calling our main number, and then that will get you to the on-call person. For non-urgent inquiries, including maintenance requests for potholes, damaged signs, overgrown vegetation, and any other matters related to street, parks, or public utilities, as well as general inquiries about infrastructure projects, road closures, cities events, etc., you can visit our website or email our Public Works Department at publicworks@tillamookor.gov. We do respond to inquiries in the order they're received. We appreciate you helping us maintain our community's well-being. Starting Thursday, as I think has been discussed a little bit, temperatures will rise significantly. Please stay hydrated, take necessary precautions to stay safe in the heat, and if possible, check on the elderly and those with health conditions to ensure they are staying cool and hydrated. Also, a reminder that citizens are responsible for their private sewer lateral lines and fix them when problems occur. So we really appreciate there's been a lot of cooperation with, just everybody, including the Realtors Board, and working with especially the new homes, not new homes, excuse me, the homes that are becoming new homes for people that are buying them, they're new homes. But during the point of sale, there's been a lot of work around the sewer lateral lines being repaired. And the people moving into our community are very happy to discover that the council had taken that step to really ensure that they had a good working sewer line when they got into their homes. So they're very grateful for that. Also, I would like to, Sheriff Brown touched on a bit, but just want to provide a brief kind of overview on the new Supreme Court ruling regarding homelessness and enforcement of camping ordinances as pertaining to the city. The city's been working on this administratively for over 2 years, and the city's ordinances are and have been in great shape. They prohibit camping and overnight staying in parks, as well as provide laws for enforcement when crimes and misdemeanors are committed. Additionally, over the past 3 years, police departments work extremely hard to enforce the city ordinances. I am very proud of our police department. From top to bottom, they are doing an amazing job protecting our community, being proactive, and performing at a high level with limited resources. Furthermore, the city partnered officially with the county over 3 years ago to work together on the issue of homelessness. This started with an initial letter of support that I wrote to the state along with many other partners. that provided support to the county to get a grant to set up a committee and plan, and then I appointed Chief Troxel, at that time Lieutenant Troxel, now Chief Troxel, as our representative on that board. So I want to really thank our county and CARE Inc. and all of our partners and what they're doing to really help our residents who are homeless. All municipal elections on the city's website are live and will be live through August 13th. We have 4 wards this year up for re-election, or for election, excuse me, up for open seats. I should put it that way. Wards 1, 3, 5, and 6 are all open seats. To run for city office, resident must complete the pack found on the city's website, or it can be picked up at City Hall in the office of the Deputy City Recorder, Tammy Heinzman, through the August 13th. Please contact her with any questions. Just a reminder that we are still hiring public works technicians, a planning technician, and a project manager/engineer. We ask you to complete our website or stop by City Hall for an application. These are all very important positions, and we would love to have some applicants that are interested. You can also apply online at our website, tillamookor.gov/jobs. The city will also be closed, as with the county, on Thursday, July 4th, in honor of our country's Independence Day. And we will resume normal business hours on Monday, July 8th at 7 a.m. Reminder, if you see something, say something by calling 911 for emergencies and dispatch for non-emergencies. And finally, the next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, August 5th at 7 p.m. And can't believe it'll be August soon. Well, we got to get through July 1st. So I think I'm mistaken here, actually. I am mistaken. Our next council meeting will be July 15th. It seemed a little far in the future there. July 15th will be our next council meeting, and we encourage everyone in your local government is interested to attend virtually or in person. That's all I have. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate your report. And with that, you're welcome. I would like to thank KTIL, as always, for broadcasting. Thanks, everyone, for participating in this call, and thank you, Tillamook County, for listening. This meeting is adjourned at 9:46 a.m. Happy 4th, everyone.